This is Joshua K.
Today's text is from the Old Testament, Genesis chapter 2 verses 18 to 24, and the New Testament, Matthew chapter 19 verse 6. Today, let's take a moment to think about this passage under the title, "The two will become one flesh." The first poem of mankind is probably the song of Adam when he welcomed his bride, the cry in Genesis chapter 2 verse 23, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." Also, the first institution of mankind is probably the marriage institution, along with the Sabbath institution, as recorded in Genesis chapter 2. Indeed, God gave humans the marriage institution. And through that institution, He allowed human happiness and prosperity. Therefore, if we humans use this marriage properly, it is a blessing, but if we use it wrongly, 1 Kings chapter 1 verses 3 to 4. Judges chapter 16 verses 15 to 17, we can see through the Bible that this marriage leads to destruction. So what is this marriage? Is it simply a creation and union of a woman as an accessory for an incomplete man? That is absolutely not the case. The wedding of Adam and Eve, in today's text, tells us that there are other meanings beyond a simple union. So let's examine the true meaning of marriage through today's text. First, marriage is a grace of God. The one who most clearly judges the state of human existence is none other than the Creator of mankind. God. Genesis chapter 2 verse 18. God knew Adam's situation so well that He said, "I will make a suitable woman for him." In other words, the meeting between Adam and Eve was carried out under God's plan, and was an expression of God's great love and grace toward mankind. God did not like Adam being alone. So God bestowed grace on Adam in this state, and created Eve, a woman with the same nature and constitution as Adam. In this way, marriage is a great grace of God toward mankind. Therefore, we must accept this marriage ceremony as a blessing from God and maintain it in purity. As written in the New Testament, Hebrew chapter 13 verse 4, marriage is to be held in honor among all. And the marriage bed undefiled, we should receive this blessing with reverence and gratitude. Second, marriage is a joy for humans. Some say that Adam's act of naming all the livestock, the birds of the air, and all the beasts of the field was an effort to help them find a spouse. If we accept this view, after naming all the creatures, Adam must have been truly lonely and alone. Because there was no one who was the same as him, a spouse. At that time, God gave him Eve. Adam immediately cried out in joy and emotion, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." In this way, marriage is a feast of joy in human society. It is a feast of joy that God has established, guaranteed, and permitted. Therefore, humans should give glory to God by enjoying this joy in a grateful and proper way. And for this joy, young people who are planning to get married must have a fervent and specific prayer life, hoping for God's grace. In the Old Testament, 1 Kings chapter 11 verses 3 to 4, Solomon, who enjoyed the joy of an intemperate marriage, committed the sin of idolatry in his later years. However, in Genesis chapter 24, Abraham asked God's will and followed it in order to enjoy true joy through the marriage of his son Isaac. In this way, regarding marriage, which God has permitted with grace, and which gives us joy, we, the saints who believe in God, must humbly seek God's will, first and foremost, in order to truly sublimate it into joy. Thirdly, marriage is two becoming one flesh. Genesis chapter 2 verse 24 says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." Marriage is the beginning of a new family, based on God's blessing, and it is the mystery of two persons uniting as one, and two bodies joining as one. As in the New Testament, Ephesians chapter 5 verse 28, therefore, now the two must love each other as their own bodies. And as in Romans chapter 7 verses 1 to 3, this union cannot be broken by any means other than death. This is because marriage is an institution given by God, and one another is a spouse given by God. In this way, marriage is God's blessing and human joy. It is also complete independence from parents, the perfect union of two equal persons, and the mysterious union of two bodies becoming one. And as in Ephesians chapter 5 verses 31 to 32, ultimately, marriage is a symbol of the future, perfect union of the church as the bride, and Christ as the groom. Therefore, saints, I hope that you will properly perform this deeply meaningful wedding ceremony, according to God's will, and enjoy the true blessings and joy that God guarantees and live.